everyone, welcome to another Overrated Film Saturday. And today I thought it would be interesting to discuss a film that uh, was made in the 70s but talks about the 50s. And as you can see by the title, that is Grease. Even if I probably weren't putting in a title there, you probably would guess that it would be Grease. But either way, I thought it would be interesting to discuss this film, why I think it is overrated. I don't necessarily dislike it, similar to other films that I have covered, like Frozen or any of the other films that I can't think of at the top of my head at the moment. But usually when I discuss overrated films, I don't necessarily hate them. I just think that they're overemphasized and over glorified for what they are. And so I'm just trying to take them down a notch a little, is all I'm doing here. I'm not trying to say that Grease is a horrible film, which I don't think it is, but I think it does have a lot of elements in it that I don't think really work to the film's advantage, and I'm going to kind of go over my reasonings behind this. First, being the fact that these actors, they, in the majority, are at least in their early 20s, okay? And some of them are even in their 30s, okay? Like late 20s too, like not even early 20s. So the effect that we have on the characters is very minimal because we can't really take them seriously because they don't look like high schoolers, and they are trying to make this take place at a high school in the 50s. And when you have characters that look like that they are out of college and maybe could be married and like, it makes absolutely no sense. And I think that is a huge detriment to the film because I found it to be the most distracting element. Especially when a lot of them don't really act like what I think 1950s high schoolers would act too. So even though I think they try to act like the age group, I still can't help but shake the fact that they are in their later 20s and early 30s. So again, I think had they given the roles to high schoolers and they made them look into what was hip in the 50s, then I think we probably would have had a better product, and I think it would be more relatable to the audience because they would understand, oh, okay, it's talking about high schoolers and high schoolers are the focus. But when you have actors that are so old, it's really hard to give off that same effect. So I think that's something that I think really stands out to me as being a huge flaw to the film. Because you need to give off this effect that this is believable. And to be honest, none of the characters struck me as believable. Um, the message, I think, out of all the things in Grease, the message, I think, is the hugest detriment to the film. Because it's very confusing. Like, I'm not one of those people who reads into it very blankly, because usually people will get mad at this film for preaching the idea of, okay, in order to get somebody to like you, you have to change and become something, that's not really, as as maybe as positive of a role model. At least I think people will understand what I mean when I say this. But it's confusing because the song that plays when that scene is taking place is almost saying things that are sort of contradictory. So it's really hard to understand exactly what the person. And again, she does the character that I'm talking about, Sandy. She doesn't really change until the end of the film. So so the message is very convoluted because we see John Travolta's character change right through sort of the middle of the film, and we don't see her change until the end. So it sets a very confusing message. because I'm literally asking these questions like in my head at the end, and it confuses me. I'm like, does girl have to be sexy, or does guy have to be nice to have sexy girl, or does John Travolta change and then turn back but still change personality? Like that's literally what I'm thinking. All of these like questions are coming to my mind. So is the message this, or is it this, or is it that, or it's completely it just doesn't know what its real message is, I think. Um, and I think they could have executed the whole changing of personality. I think they could have done that a whole lot better, because really all they do is change appearances. That's really all that they do. John Travolta just changes to the appearance of a jock, and he's really not good at playing sports. So I mean, that whole change is pretty much useless. And sort of is not as useless for the Sandy transformation, but still it kind of creates a confusing message, because on the one hand, she is dressing up for him and trying to, please him, but then at the same time she's saying, you better shape up or you're not going to get any of this. And it's like, okay, but did you really have to change outfits to really show that? Not really. I mean, or hey, I'll change into this nice outfit for you if you're nice to me. It's confusing. Like I don't get the message. Like I don't get what's the point. And I think with a high school setting, where kids are sort of developing into adulthood, I think this could have really worked had they focused more on trying to actually create change within the person. Like, let's say maybe John Travolta's going through something at home with his family, and maybe Sandy has having issues with her friends. They could have had some kind of conflict that ultimately that they were both maybe separately having, and then they come together, and then they ultimately realize the good in one another, and they sort of change and become better people. That really should have, I think, been really the message, and it would have been a lot more clear. Like the whole message in this movie is so out there, and it doesn't know what it wants to be, and it just gets very confusing, and you as an audience are going, wait, and then you suddenly get distracted by that really catchy song, and then you forget everything that's going on, and then you just have fun with the song. And I think that's what this film was trying to do. It wasn't trying to really provide a message, I think, so much as it was trying to provide very catchy songs, which it does, but that doesn't make a good film to me. To me, a good film has a lot of different elements. And this is what makes Grease an okay film, because it has good songs, and there's a lot of energy there, and effort put in. But at the same time, there's still a lot of things that don't add up and are very confusing. And so I think there was a lot more clarification that needed to be had. The constant back and forth that the two main characters, Sandy and John Travolta's character, excuse me, I forget the name, I think it's Danny, go through is very, I almost want to say it's very annoying, because it's like, are they going to be together, are they not going to be together, and these plots just don't, I think, work to a film's advantage. I think that they work to the film's disadvantage for the most part. I mean, I think they could have had the whole first entire act of the film just focusing on them like they don't know each other, like they're from completely different, groups or whatnot. And then, and again, you could make it be a really big school or something. And then in the second act, they come together, and maybe there's some dispute, and then they have a resolution. You didn't need to have multiple getting together, not getting together, not getting together, not getting together. No. You didn't need, the movie didn't need to do that, I think. And it just comes off as so annoying. I'm just like, gosh darn it, John Travolta, why did you mess this up? Or Sandy, why are you mad at him now? Gosh darn it, this is so confusing. I don't know what's going on. Please, movie, help me. I just feel like it's pulling me in all these different directions, and I don't know who or what is going on, or who or needs to change, or who needs to become better, or why suddenly Sandy has an epiphany to change. I don't get it. Like, it's confusing. And again, I think this confusion is due to the fact that the movie was focused more on the songs and its energy and its choreography, and not on its characters and story. And that's why I think this film became overrated. It was because of those catchy musical numbers that boosted Grease to the top. And we don't really look at the characters and story. So the back and forth is something that I think was a completely dumb idea, a dumb move. And I think it really disengages me from enjoying the film. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is the sort of kind of grim, dark subplot that goes on in the film, which is the Rizzo and Kaneki relationship. Now, Rizzo, in case you haven't seen the film, she is basically kind of the alpha dog female, cause she's like the one everybody, you know, sees as leader, and they basically kind of follow her. So she's the alpha female, and she's not really nice to Sandy, as you'll see throughout the film. She's kind of you almost go like, does she even deserve a boyfriend? But I mean, I guess her and Kaneki make sense, because Kaneki is kind of, you know, he's a greaser. What more can you say? But basically, their relationship, again, is not really all that powerful. It is probably more physical than anything else, and they have a pregnancy subplot. And to me, this really drags the film even further, because we don't need a pregnancy subplot in this movie. We really don't. With all of the other films that have focused on this aspect and TV shows, I think I've had enough of seeing this subplot or this plot being focused on. And I think it's just something that I just don't like the subplot's approach, because it's so grim, and it feels really dark and disturbing and uncomfortable, and you know, and then it just turns to happy again when they realize that it was sort of a false alarm. And to me, you know, that putting in something that heavy in a it's supposed to be a very lighthearted, fun, innocent, you know, film, at least for the most part. Well, there are some things that are like, you know, a little bit more based within innuendo, and, you know, are just, you know, supposed to be more teenagey. But at the same time, it wasn't on the level of, hey, there might be a baby, you know, that it didn't go to that level. And I think this film could have done better had they just dropped that whole plot. I don't think it needed to be in there. It kind of serves no purpose, and it's really uncomfortable, and you kind of don't want to, you know, explore it, or even, you know, it's because it's not a drama. Grease is not a drama. Even though there's drama in it, it's largely based in trying to be fun and energetic, and, you know, just be a film about teenagers. Like, that's what it's supposed to be. And I know this is something that, you know, that this kind of thing comes up sometimes, but it didn't need to be in this film. This point didn't need to, I think, be in there. I think they could have done without it, and it's pretty much not even explored, because, again, you know, she says it's a false alarm, and you know, it's their relationship is not really developed, and they don't try to change, it seems like, or try to, you know, maybe be a little bit more conservative with their, you know, sexuality. Doesn't seem like they do any of that. So Yeah, I think that there is this there's no growth with them as characters. And I'm not saying that um, a pregnancy film within the 50s couldn't have worked, but not in this film. I'm sorry, but just not in this film. Not in this movie, especially when it's not focusing really on that anyway. Um, so yes, I think these are the things that make Grease a overrated product. I'm not saying it's horrible. I think there's some elements in it are good. I think some characters are fairly likable. For example, Sandy and her friend, who I actually like her friend. You know, the one who wants to go to beauty school or whatnot, and she has a whole song dedicated to her. She's really nice and likable, and is very supportive. Um, Even though, again, John Travolta is kind of doing his thing. I think there's still a sense of there is this bad boy element in there. I'm not gonna lie, but I think the fact that he was willing to try and figure out something, um, and try to you know play sports. I mean, I think that still says something because I don't think an actual person who wasn't willing to change would try. Yeah, I can do that. And so I think that's really though all I can say. Apologize, that was just my mom asking me something. Uh, and yeah, I think that it has some good attributes to it. I just think that the message is confusing. They needed, again, people that were of high school age or at least around their earlier 20s, not people that were going on their 30s. Just doesn't work. And I think the pregnancy subplot is unnecessary and changes the complete mood of the film, and you don't really feel like that it really works within this kind of setting that they're trying to build up on. So I think those are the things that really do pull the film down, and I think they are significant things because a film is largely based on its message, especially if it's trying to convey a message. And clearly, this film was trying to do that. It just didn't know how to convey that message, I think. And again, the just changing that whole mood by putting in this pregnancy subplot, I think was completely unnecessary. And again, high schoolers, not 20 somethings, no way. Doesn't work. But ultimately, I think that's really all I can say. If there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day, week, month, and year. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye. And this is not an offense to anybody who enjoys Grease or doesn't think it's overrated. You know, I totally respect anybody else's opinion, but this is just personally mine, and I'm just providing reasons, and I think it's interesting to hear people's opinions, even if I don't agree with them. But take care. Bye-bye.